On all of our platforms here.
Hey, we're live.
Hey, we're live.
Welcome to the 3:15 book break.
Welcome. All right. I am Librarian Taylor.
I am Librarian Mark.
And so typically I'm the Youth Services Librarian for Springfield Public Library. But today I need a disclaimer. Today on the book break, I am not the Youth Services Librarian. I am talking adult horror today. So these books are not for kids.
And I am talking about books that will hurt you. And by hurt you, I mean books that will physically hurt you when you are reading them in bed and you drop them on your face. I am talking about some of the larger books in our collection.
He threw them at me accidentally whenever we sat down together, and it scared me. So just care, I guess, in handling those books.
They're quite heavy.
All right.
All right.
Do we want to start with scary?
Let's start with scary.
Okay. So I have 3 specific books to share with you. We're going to start with the shortest book and move to the longest. So we're going to start with a novella. So this novella, you can see it is quite slim. A novella is just a story told in like 100 pages or less, 120 pages or less. So this is called Mapping the Interior. It is by Stephen Graham Jones. And this was my introduction to Stephen Graham Jones. A lot of people know him now for The Only Good Indians, which not only is it the best book cover ever, but it is just, his books are slow burn psychological horrors. And this book specifically deals with the haunting of a house. And Stephen Graham Jones is a Blackfeet tribe member, and this story explores this just deep like sadness and terror and anger around the death of the main character's father, and what that does to life on and off the reservation. And oh gosh, look at this book cover art. Mapping the Interior, wonderful introduction to some psychological horror. Stephen Graham Jones. All right, you're up.
All right. Moving on to something that's not scary. Best wishes, warmest regards, the story of Schitt's Creek by Daniel Levy and Eugene Levy. Schitt's Creek was probably the perfect pandemic show in that it was just starting its 5th or 6th season, like the final season.
Yeah, it was getting in there.
In the middle of the pandemic, and it was just, it was a beautiful show, a very inclusive show, a story with a lot of heart, and this book reflects it. All the way through, all of the artwork is actually fan art. They have a huge group of fans. Cute. And I mean, so this book is filled with, as well as like things from like behind the scenes from every single episode and interviews. It's then got stuff like this about the fact that there are, for every state. David. Every single state. So there's lots of things like that. If you've wondered about every single wig that Moira ever wore, or every different piece of knitwear that David wore all the way through. It's a really cute little, big book. And it's a really nice way to like give yourself a hug at the end of the day and think, oh,
Mark,
Schitt's Creek.
Best wishes.
Warmest regards.
All right. The books are so big, I noticed they're shaking our camera.
They are.
All right. We're going to jump into another piece of horror. So this is a short story collection. So we went from novella to short story. So technically the individual stories are shorter, but the whole collection is longer. I am so grateful that this author came into my life. So this author is Amelia Gray. This is her short story collection, Gutshot. And again, oh my gosh, can we talk about the cover art? That is just stunning. So every short story in here is horror of some kind. Some of it is very subtle, some of it's body horror, some of it is haunting, but every one just like sinks into your skull. I read this book for the first time at least 5 years ago, and I still think about it. I actually don't buy that many books compared to the number of books that I read. And this is one that I own. And I have to say, if you like weird, which I like weird, I have to tell you that Amelia Gray and Molly Tanzer came into my life at the same time. and they're both phenomenal. If you like weird steampunk, immigrant, Wild West, vampire, sexy fiction, Vermilion. So good. If you like Victorian queer women just being amazing, making deals with the devil, try these. So all of these, whoops, wrong way, will be in the comments, and they are some of my favorite horror stories.
This weekend is the Super Bowl, and so I am sharing NFL 100, A Century of Pro Football. It's like there are librarians who do like sports and sports ball. There's not that many.
Are
there? There really are.
I like the round. I'm more of like a base. I watch esports.
There we
Does
go.
that count?
It does count. But this is NFL 100. This is an interesting book in that it is mostly a collection of Sports Illustrated articles or articles from other sources over the 100 years. So what I don't like about it is that it doesn't put it into the context of things that we know now. So, for example, there's very little about some of the off-field things that have happened. There's very little about the politics. There's very little about concussions. We put up a football display a little while back, and the only books that people picked up to actually look at weren't about the football. They were Things That Make White People Uncomfortable by David Zirin and Michael Bennett, and books about concussions. But it is here. There are some beautiful photos, and there's some, magic moments from 100 years of the NFL.
Actually, I'm going to jump in. I lied. I've got one kid's book recommendation for you. Jacqueline Woodson's Before the Ever After. Very short little book. It's like a middle grade novel, perfect for middle school or late elementary school. And it is about the changes that a football player dad experiences from head trauma. It's really well done, but everything she does is fabulous.
True.
All right. I've got one more for you. Now, I also selected books today that just have stunning cover art. Look at this. Okay, so this one's newer. This just came out in the fall. I got a copy about 6 months ahead of time, and it was physically painful that I could not send you all home from the library with this book a year ago when I first got to read it. So this is The Death of Jane Lawrence. This is by Caitlin Starling. This book is for fans of your Jane Eyre, for fans of Rebecca, but you want more. This is for, you read Mexican Gothic and it was okay, but it wasn't scary enough. This is what you want. There's body horror, there's hauntings, there's unreliable characters, there's romance, there's cutting up bodies and like early surgery. There's, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. So, and the other thing is that Caitlin Starling is just excellent with Gothic horror. She also wrote a book called Yellow Jessamine that I can highly recommend if you want a little bit of lighter horror and you were a big fan of Mexican Gothic. Start with Yellow Jessamine, but definitely go home with The Death of Jane Lawrence. And props to that book designer. That's
wonderful.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Do you know who else is into Gothic horror?
I know one of my coworkers that's not into Gothic horror.
Octopi. It's not that well known, but Octopi are well into Gothic horror.
Well, they like cosmic horror
they
a
do
lot
like Gothic horror as
yeah.
well. That is their jam. So this is just my final book. I'm going to talk about it really quickly, but from the creators of My Octopus Teacher, Underwater Wild. This is just
oh my goodness,
big, beautiful pictures of nature from the team behind My Octopus Teacher. I've just gone through and read, and they're talking about the experiences that they've had diving with sharks and with things like that. So there's actually, I mean, just look at that. It's just a really nice book to sit down and have a good flip through. And there actually is, there's quite a lot of text and stories and context about their time in here as well. So Underwater Wild by the creators of My Octopus Teacher.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Are you sure you don't want to sneak in your last one?
We'll sneak in the last one. And the other last one to really share is The Mandalorian Book of Boba Fett is finishing up this week. This book came out after season 1. One of my favorite things about The Mandalorian is always the art at the end of each episode. And that's what this book is full of.
Oh, that's amazing.
It also has stuff like character development. So if you'd like to see what the child looked like originally.
Oh.
So it actually goes through, like, this is the original Dave Filoni sketches.
Oh, he's not wrinkly enough.
He's not wrinkly enough. And it talks about how they added cheeks and where they got the inspiration from before they came up with, you know.
Oh my god.
Yes, and they talk about, I mean, this is, oh, I'm sorry. This is the image that they talk about a lot from that series. So yeah, it's beautiful.
You were gonna withhold the child?
I was going to withhold the child, but then again, it doesn't need much help, this book, first of all. Anyway, and then, you know, you've just got Mr. Terrifying himself there on the back. So that was the book break.
That was the book break. We'll be back next week on Wednesday at the earliest, if not before, with more books. And we're going to start getting other librarians in here too. We're going to get you a huge variety of recommendations.
Have a great day, everybody.
Right, yeah, have a great day. And if you're still on YouTube, just hang tight.
Just hang tight.
Yeah, you get a couple extra seconds here while we navigate.
There it is.
Thank you all so much.